This is DZR in JWP, a discussion of topics about Danzan-Ryu Jujutsu using the Japanese word processor JWP. I'm your host, Professor George Arrington, and I'm the editor of the Danzan-Ryu Jujutsu homepage at www.danzan.com. The topic for this video is the advanced board names. And so we're going to start talking about this by saying that the names of the advanced boards, well, even before we get to that, let's take a look at an illustration. Okay, this is a 1948 certificate that was awarded to Stephen J. Bizek. It's called a Kaiden Sho, and it gave him the title of Shihan. And just as a point of information, this document and several of the other pertinent documents in Danzan-Ryu are fully translated in my book, Mokoroku and Kaiden Sho, that you can find on Danzan.com. But anyway, let's take a look at this. What this says is that he received the complete transmission of the Danzan-Ryu system, which included the beginning transmission, which we talked about in a previous video, the middle transmission, which we also talked about in a previous video, and then also the Okuden and the Kuden, sometimes called Koden. So the Shoden, Chuden, which we've already discussed, and now we're going to look at the Okuden and the Kuden. Okay, so the names of the boards within these first two, the Shoden and Chuden, were readily available in the scrolls that were given out by Professor Okazaki. Here's Okazaki Seishiro right here. He gave out the scrolls to his graduates at their second degree black belt level. And they had all of the technique names within the Shoden and the Chuden. The problem arose when people wanted to know the names of the Okuden and Kuden board names. Now, the problem occurred because the names of these lists of techniques appeared on boards or planks of wood that were written in English, and so it said the names of the board names in English, but didn't give the Japanese. And as I've said in other videos, going from English to Japanese is sometimes a very difficult thing to do. You really cannot reverse engineer Japanese from English without a whole lot of possibility of error. So the question always remains is in order to find the Japanese from the English, you really need to have some source document. So that is the problem. So let me move this out of the way and go back to this. So we do have the name Okuden. You can probably see the first board sticking out there, but that's all right. Okuden, which is written Okuden, like so, den, and the kanji for that are Okuden. Oops, and let me try to do it all together. Do the den. Okay, and you get that. And just so that we'll see the character. This den, as I said before, is the modern simplified character for den, or transmission, or tradition, and the more traditional one is this character right here for den, and they mean the same thing, except that this one more complicated and older kanji. Okay, so a lot in the around 1950, the Japanese language was they started to simplify it and some other things. And so this was one of the kanji that got simplified. Okay, so the name of the first board is Shinin no Maki. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, how do we say that? Well, the no Maki part, I'm going to write no Maki. And as we've seen in previous videos, this is not a problem. This means the scroll of. Okay? Where we get into problems is this word shinin. And depending upon your particular lineage in Danzan-Ryu, you may see this in several different forms. There's shinin and shin-en and all kinds of different spellings. Suffice it to say that about 15 years ago, actually about 17 years ago, I asked Professor Sig Kufrath if he had the kanji for these advanced board names, and he did, and he shared them with me. At that time, 1995, he asked me not to show the actual document to anybody, and I've agreed with those wishes, and I won't present that document here, but I will show you he said that I could show the printed form, so I'm going to show you the printed form. And it looks like this. So we have shin and nin, like this. Okay, whoops, let's put those together. So that's shin and nin. And the kanji for those, shin. Okay, now that's not the right kanji, although some people will use that kanji for shin. The correct kanji is this one, which means God, or sometimes written as kami, or sometimes read as kami. The term Shinto uses this character, so this means God. Okay, and the nin part looks like that. That is the character for man. So literally means God, man, scroll. Okay, the scroll of the God, man. Now, before you say, well, gee, that's sacrilegious or anything like that, what this really means is that this means man attaining that which is above. Okay, the term or the concept of the gods, the Shinto gods in Japanese is different than our Judeo-Christian concept of gods, and so this is man attaining what is above. Okay, and just as a point of interest, by the way, originally the title was not Shin Nin, it was this. It was Shin and then Nan, which means male person, man. Shinnan no Maki. And at some point, and I'm not certain at what year he did that, he changed it to the non-sex specific nin. Okay, so that is the name for the first board. And actually, in the requirements of the American Jiu-Jitsu Institute, which was Professor Okazaki's organization back in Hawaii, the requirements were for to get your black belt, you had to go through all of the previous boards, including Fusegi Jitsu, and all of the other things, Yawara, Nage, Shime, Oku, Kiai no Maki, Fusegi Jitsu, and all 35 of the techniques from the Shinin. Today, some people don't go through all of those to get their Shodan, but in Professor Okazaki's day, that was required. So, anyway, that is the Shinin. Okay. All right. Secondly, the Shinyo no Maki. All right. So after you learn the Shinin no Maki and you had your black belt, The instructor's course, move that up a little bit. The instructor's course was called the Shin Yo no Maki. Okay, again, we have the no maki. I'll do the same thing I did before here. No maki and no maki, like so. So this is the scroll of the Shin-yo. And what is the Shin-yo? Well, again, the term Shin, then this was kind of the sticking point with a lot of people. Well, certainly when I was beginning the arts back in the early 1970s, that people were saying that this was a different meaning of Shin. So Shin, and I'll write that out. Shin, and then yo, and in this case, okay, I have to do this a little bit differently. Shin, that's what I meant, nyo, shin, yo, oops, making all kinds of mistakes today, sorry about that, yo, and in this case, the correct term is with an elongated o. So Shin-yo no Maki. And what that looks like is this. S-H-I-N. There's our Shin, our Kami. And then Yo is it that one? Let's see. I'll tell you here in a moment. Nope, it is not that one. It is not to fry in deep fat. Okay, it is this one here. Okay. And that one is the yang principle, or positive, or male. Okay, so in Chinese you would say yin and yang. And in Japanese you say yin and yo. So that is the Shin Yo. Okay. So the question of, well, how do you know? You know what makes you believe that that is the case? And you know, without certain documentation, we don't really know. We could guess at all kinds of different possibilities. But fortunately, in the recent years, I've run across a document, and I'm going to pull that one up here, and that is an old Japanese newspaper, and as you can see, it's from, this is the Hawaii Bunen, which was a Japanese newspaper in Hawaii, and as you can see, the date is May 28th, 1941, and this was a newspaper that was read by Japanese citizens and Japanese people in Hawaii back then, in the 30s and 40s. And in fact, I can actually move this up and show you a picture here. And in the paper, this is a picture of a graduation class from Professor Okazaki's dojo. Right there, where the hand is Professor Okazaki, and you see these people on the front row had just received their scrolls. This guy, you can see the scroll pretty well. This guy, you can see this scroll right here, and this gentleman right here, his name is Steve Bizek. I knew him for several years before he passed away in 1996, and quite a gentleman, and he let me have a lot of the documents that I own today. In fact, that Kaiden show that I showed you earlier belonged to Steve Bizek. So there you go. And so these people received their scrolls, their Mokuroku scrolls. And in the background, you can see a lot of famous people. There's Curly Friedman, and there's Charlie Wagner, and there's Johnny Cahill, and Professor Okazaki is here, And Professor Okazaki's advisor, Sensei Horimoto, is right here. And right down, let's see, where is he? Right there, that guy in the second row who had just received his first-degree black belt, that's Sig Kufrath, who many people know about. And let's see, who else do we see here? There's Dick Rickards, and famous people from the Danzan-Ryu world. Okay. So, but what's important about this document that I wanted to show you is this. One of the things that this document is talking about is a demonstration that was performed, a public demonstration that was performed, and it was in celebration of the 7th anniversary. See here, it says the 7th anniversary of the Koden Kan, and there's an alternate use of the symbol Kan right there. 7th anniversary of the Koden Kan. So 1941, you can do the math and find when the Koden Kan in Honolulu was founded. So this demonstration was put on, and a lot of the arts were demonstrated, and right here in this section shows the arts that were actually demonstrated. This one is it says Nagi no Kata, using that other form of kata, and actually let me enlarge this, can't quite read it. There we go, that's a lot better. And what does that say? That says Shime no Kata, which is an alternate form of the term shime, different than the one you saw in the other video, and so forth throughout this. There's knife arts and all kinds of different things. But the one that I wanted to point out to you is this one right here. And let's just enlarge that. And let's move it to the center of the frame. And it's a little grainy, but it's quite legible. This says Shin, and you can read the little what they call furigana on the side. Shin yo. It actually says Yau, but this is Shinyo no Maki. All right, and so indeed the kanji that were given to me back in 1995 are correct. That the Shinyo were demonstrated back in 1941 and match these. The newer form for the kanji for Shin, you see this Shin is a little bit different, but that's the older form of the kanji for Shin. Okay, so that is a verification of at least that one. To date, I haven't found something that says Shinin, but I believe certainly that what Professor Kufrath gave me is correct. So that is the Okuden. Okay, and Okuden by itself, just let's see if the dictionary has that. It may not. It does, and it means the esoteric techniques. Okay. Although you shouldn't really read too much into that about them being mystical or anything like that. They're pretty brutal techniques. Anyway, let's continue here into the Kuden. And Kuden section and let's write out that in kanji. K-U-D-E-N, and this is it then separately. Okay, hold on. D-E-N, and there's our den, and I won't put the other den in there. And what does this mean? What does the Kuden mean? Well, if we go to our dictionary, it says oral tradition, oral instruction. Okay. So these are the, and it has all kinds of kuden, koden. So it could be pronounced koden, or different way there, but basically kuden or koden. Most often you'll see it as kuden, but it can also be koden, long O, koden. And this means this character here, this square character, means mouth. So in the tradition of our system, these are techniques that are mouth to ear only and not shared. The techniques are not shared. And the name of this board, Shin Gen no Maki. Okay. Shin Gen no Maki. A lot of times, especially when I was first learning the system, people would call it the Shinjin, and that is not correct. That is not correct. According to Professor Kufra's document that was given to him by Professor Okazaki, it says Shin-gen, and the kanji look like this. They say Shin, which is the kami, gen, which I will discuss here in a moment, no maki, and that's that. And actually, just to let you know, on the paper that was given to me, the no was left out, and so it was implied. So it said Shingen Maki, but you can say Shingen no Maki. Alrighty. So what does this mean? Well, this means the God or the spirit. Let's pull that one up. The God's the mind, the soul. Okay. And this gen here means the fundamental or original, the primitive, and some other things. But original is the term here. So the original spirit scroll, the Shingen no Maki. Okay. And I won't discuss what this board is all about. That's better left for your teacher to teach you about. But the name is not a big secret, except that it was misunderstood for many years. That the Shingen, it was not Shinjin, but Shingen. Shingen no Maki. Okay. So that's it for this video, and I hope you'll visit Danzan.com and check out my books. I have a lot of this information in those books. So we'll see you next time.